Hey, good morning. I'm Kent Brown, and we're out here on Folsom Lake. We're going to do a series of 4 tapes out here on Folsom, and starting off with summertime fishing, and we're going to fish through the winter, the dead of winter. We're going to fish the springtime, a little bit of pre-spawn fishing, and then during the spawn when the fish are moved up shallow in the backs of the pockets. Folsom's a foothill reservoir located just outside of Sacramento, and probably one of the best spotted bass fisheries in the state today. We're going to go out, we're going to throw a Vixen, a little topwater bait that Reaction Innovations makes. This is pretty good. It's already got some teeth marks on it. We're going to maybe catch a few fish on a buzzbait, maybe a few on a spinnerbait. We're dealing, as you look around the lake behind me here, you're going to see an awful lot of brown water. You're going to see a lot of bank right now, and the lake's about 47% full right now. It's on the fall, and what these big spotted bass are doing is they're moving out on outside structure, little rock piles, little breaks, and we're going to key most of the day today just fishing these little island tops. One of the biggest mistakes anglers make is they don't throw the topwater late enough in the day in the summertime. We're looking right now, we haven't launched the boat until 10 o'clock in the morning, and now we're going to start fishing topwater from 10 through early afternoon. And I think you guys are going to be surprised just how many big bites we're going to get on this thing. So we're going to jump out here on this island top and see if we can't coax a big spotted bass into eating that Vixen. Boy, that's good. I got my first cast out of the way without a backlash. Get fired by the good folks at Pfluger if I backlash my reel on the first cast. What we're dealing with out here is a lot of granite rock piles, and these fish have been suspending out on the rock piles and catching a lot of them throwing the Vixen. A lot of you have thrown the Zara Spook. It's the same type of bait. We get into talking about fishing a bait that's a walking the dog pattern, and a lot of anglers have a hard time with that walking the dog deal. It's kind of a walking and chewing gum deal, and all you're doing with it is you want to just keep that bait moving. You'll see that bait as it comes back to me. You just want that bait to keep moving and walking back and forth, trying to draw those fish up. Most of these fish that in Folsom right now are out here on these island tops. We're catching them. We had quite a bit of wind this morning coming in, and these fish will get out on these island tops. You can almost call the fish. You almost know when you're going to get a bite on some of this stuff. A few things you'll notice about my topwater fishing. I throw everything on a fiberglass rod. Fiberglass is a much more forgiving rod. It loads up, it stays loaded. It doesn't have a tendency to pull the hooks out of these fish's mouth. I don't pull real hard on topwater fish at all. These rods I'm throwing are the 705R fiberglass Lamaglass rod. It's actually the rod that Skeet designed the Skeet Reese series rod off of, although Skeet's rod's yellow, like his shirt and his hair. But really nice rod. They're a fiberglass stick, and I like the 7-footer just because it gives me a little more distance in my cast, and they've got a fairly light tip on them. When you're fishing these reservoirs in the summertime and you're really trying to key on the isolated rock piles, the 5-mile-an-hour buoys, the shallow markings, the shallow buoys, they're really kind of your buddies. They'll show you where all the good spots to fish are, strictly because they keep that marked off so the weekend warriors, water skiers don't run up on top of these island tops. And they really show you a lot of times where those spots are. However, we're going to fish some areas a little farther up the river today that we're not going to have that. There's a lot of boulder piles and stuff up there that are not marked whatsoever. So we'll see a little bit of both out here today. The other thing too, when you're fishing these types of baits like the Vixen and Zara Spooks, buzzbaits, any of that, I'm fishing a pretty fast reel. I'm fishing a 6-3-1 gear retrieve Pfluger President, and you want a good fast retrieve reel to keep that slack out of your line. You get out here on this outside edge where there's more rock pile. This is really a pretty flat sandy island top, and I'm really keying on fishing more of the island tops. This is not the kind of pattern you're going to fish real slow. I'm burning the bank pretty fast when I'm fishing like this. I'm not fishing slow whatsoever when I'm running these types of patterns. I'm running my trolling motor pretty fast and just staying on it. Very much like sight fishing in the springtime when we're bed fishing, a good pair of polarized glasses are also real important out here, strictly because you need to see those isolated rock piles that may have 3, 4, 5 feet of water on them, and without a good pair of polarized glasses you're just not going to see them. I'm fishing up to a couple of rock piles and I'm trying to position the boat where I can make a good long cast, but I'm out away from those rocks a little bit. There's one, missed it. Tried to break up the retrieve on him a little bit, he missed it. Thought he might come back on it, but he didn't. A lot of these fish right now I'm seeing track the bait. They're coming up on it, swimming behind the bait 10 or 15 feet before they actually eat it. It's really funny. Amazing how shallow a lot of these real big fish are. Rod position is real important when I'm walking that bait too. The one guy I've ever seen can walk that bait with the rod up real high, and that's Byron Veldick. Byron can do it better than anybody I've ever seen, but the rest of us need to keep that fishing rod down here low with the tip pointed to the water. It makes walking the bait easier, but it also gives you some room to pull into the fish. Notice I didn't say set the hook, because I don't set the hook on a top water bait. I pull into the fish. When you set the hook on a lot of these top water baits is when you actually pull the hooks out of the fish. Folsom's an interesting lake. It's got some. Oh, that was a big one. That was a big one, Tony. Got it. Notice I just pulled into that fish. I didn't hit him hard at all. Oh my God, there's about 4 big spots with him too. Boy, now if your partner was here, he could probably get another cast in on that fish and catch that, his buddy there. It's a nice little 2-pound spot, nice tournament spot. Fiberglass rod, we let the rod load up. Just take it real easy on that fish. I do not get carried away fighting these topwater fish. That's one of the biggest mistakes anglers make, throwing a treble hook bait, is they put way too much pressure on these fish. Hear about a lot of anglers that lose fish on a Czar spook or even crankbait. I mean, there's no reason to put that much pressure on these fish. That fish missed it and his buddy just came back up and got it. Bounce him up here on the carpet. Nice little 2-pound spotted bass. See if I can't keep that vixen out of my bare feet. Just a great little tournament keeper. Not a giant, but we should catch a few more like that today. He wore it like a hat. There we go. Pretty typical Folsom spotted bass. Just you know, pound 7, pound 8. 3-pounder if Andy's weighing it. Right, Cooch? He'll love that. He'll take a shot at me on his next tape. He does a lot more of these than I do. The other bait that I'm catching a lot of these fish on out here is buzzbait. You know, buzzbaits are not just for the Delta or Clear Lake. They're an absolute great spotted bass bait. Ooh, that's ugly. It does not faze me in the least. First guy that says he never gets a backlash, I want to take him fishing. Maybe not 2 in a row though. I am throwing the buzzbait on braided line. I just have a tendency of doing that more in the reservoirs. Been catching a lot of fish out here on a buzzbait. So it's just a great spotted bass bait. And on occasion you'll get a big largemouth to swim up and eat it too. It was really bad. That was really bad because I had my drag so loose when I was fighting that other one. He thought seriously about it. We've moved up the North Fork a little ways, about halfway up what we call the middle basin area here in the lake. Two different variations of the river arms in this lake. The North Fork's really pretty shallow, big boulder piles, big granite piles, and tailings. And we'll see a little bit later this afternoon up the South Fork, you'll see more of the steep red clay banks and red banks, a lot less island tops, but big boulder pile like the granite pile out here in front of me. This is where a lot of these big spots have been living. They're sitting out here, they've got 30 to 50 foot of water, and they're pushing the bait fish up on to these island tops. Just a pile of bait. There's a war going on underneath the boat with the pond smelt and the fish, and these fish are just sitting out here pushing them up into the rock piles, eating them. And there's probably a large population of small bluegill and other bait fish out here for them as well. One of the mistakes a lot of anglers make on these types of spots is they run right directly in on the spot with their outboard running when they pull up on it. And you really want to stay back off that spot a little ways, come in quietly with your electric. And it takes a little while longer, but when these big spots are sitting up shallow, you definitely don't want to drive right up on their heads. Because if you push one down this time of year, you'll normally push the entire school of fish down with them. We're out here at about 20. There's a lot of activity on this point. I'm really surprised there's not some fish biting on it. You'd be afraid in the summertime on these lakes too, is when you do fish across an area with a topwater bait, even after you catch a fish or two, to pick up a drop shot or a dart head and always have one rigged up. I don't do a lot of follow-up casting with it, you know, on fish that miss it, but I do fish a lot of the same structure I'm catching them on topwater with. I'll drop a drop shot down there on. These fish up here in this river have been taking a clubbing too. Got him. It's a good one too. Boy, he just swam up there and slurped it. He didn't even eat it. No splash, no nothing. Not as good as I thought he was good, but he's not bad. We fished too long without a bite, that's the problem. That must be why he didn't make a lot of noise when he ate it. He just swam up there and slurped it. He's right out on the end of that rock pile. Had about 17 foot of water on the sides of it. Victim of catch and release. Good one. Nice spot there, buddy. Got one with him too. He's going to freak out when he sees this boat. Nice spot. Boy, he's got another one about the same size as he is with him. Really nice fish with him. Got two, got them both. Got them both. Watch this. Got them both. I saw that one with him, Tony. This is like really dangerous. Ready? Yeah, why couldn't that happen to you with a half hour before to go and you only got 3? This was the first one. This was the big one that ate it. Well, that's a solid, you know, probably close to 3 pound spot. Just a keeper. There was a whole bunch of them with him. I told you, I saw him. He had that one with him, but that's great. You know, one way to tell spotted bass too is they've always got that patch of teeth on their tongue. Where a lot of anglers fish the foothill lakes, they catch these fish and they think they're largemouth. They're not. They're spotted bass. That's a nice spot. Take those any day. That was fun. 2-on-1 cast. That doesn't happen very often. Never happens in a tournament when you need it to happen. Boy, they did a number to my hooks. I think it's about time to get the Gamakatsu box out and replace some treble hooks. This is the other thing. Everybody gets excited when they start catching them. The first thing they do after a couple of good fish like that, especially around these boulder piles, they're tough on line. You got to stop and retie. You know, after you put it through a lot of pressure, and want to retie that knot and start over fresh. So next time you get 2 on, they might be 2 5-pounders. Catch another one. That was fun. He was right where he was supposed to be. You really think where we start getting into this dirty water, this clear water, there'd be some here. Oh, that's a big one. I lost him too. He jumped over it. There was a bunch of them there. I don't think that's the same fish. Right on that temperature break line, you can see all that grass and everything. I don't think that's the same fish. A nice spot though, but he's not, definitely not the same one that jumped over it, I don't think. Let me just get him to where I can get my pliers on him. He's a nice little fish. A rock pile up here in front of me. I caught him one at a time that time, Tony. Actually, one of my favorite baits to fish up these rivers where we have a lot of currents are Rico, more so than the big bait. I think they, in this super shallow water, don't necessarily know if you want them to get that big a look at it, you know. One of my favorite little baits to fish when I get up here in the ends of these rivers is a Rico, a little topwater popper. So I can keep it, I think, in the strike zone a little longer. A lot of guys that first started fishing the Rico either lost a lot of fish on it or had a hard time hooking up fish. One of the real keys to the Rico, one of the things that makes it work really well, is change this front hook to a number 4 round bend. EWG Gami is a little too heavy for it. I know it's bent, but the EWG is a little too heavy for it. But put a number 4 round bend on the front and then leave your number 6 on the back of it. Doesn't affect the action of the bait, but it increases your hookups tremendously with this bait. And I tie direct to the Rico. The other thing I do with a Palomar knot is I try to push my knot to the bottom of the eyelet, because that causes the bait to spit up. And about every 20 casts or so, you kind of have to, or every fish, you have to push that back up on the eyelet. But the Rico up the river, I've always had pretty good luck with it. Over the years, it's been a bait that's been pretty effective. I watched that one come over there and eat it. Saw him on the meter. I don't think he's very big though. There's not much of a head shake on him. Not very smart. He's got fishing lines sticking out of his throat. When that fish broke Kachia off, he was a 7-pounder. You see that? Sorry, Andy. Maybe he's a better one. I don't know. The drop shot fish, they all feel small, you know. 6-pound test line and spinning rod, they all feel like they're 3-pounders. Just a keeper. Just a keeper. Maybe not even that. Probably not. Just wanted to make Robo another 50 cents. This is Rat Fest. No shortage of little spots in this lake. Go find another one. It's a big one. Get him. I don't know how big he is, but he's good, and there's a bunch of them with him. Oh shoot! Oh, don't tighten it, knucklehead. Oh man, I felt the treble come out. Felt the treble come out of one of them. We might have two on again, I don't know. I felt the treble come out. No, it's only one. It's only one. There's another one with him though. Come on, baby, I don't want to pull that hard. Get up. I got her side hooked, I think, but it's a big spot. I mean, it's, oh shoot, yeah, it's a big spot. The kind you'd want in a summertime tournament. I think I got her in the back or foul hooked or something. I felt like I felt the treble come out of her earlier. Oh baby, oh baby. I think I've got her hooked in the back as well. Come on, I don't want to pull the hooks out of you. She can't close her mouth, or open her mouth, you know, she's got her mouth closed. You can't win when they get their mouth closed, you can't beat them. Well, I mean, I put a little bit of pressure on her, and I feel like I'm putting a little too much on her, and well, she can hear the line. I mean, she's not that big, Tony. She's not that big. She's sideways. Yep. Never had her mouth closed. She's totally in the side there with that bait. I couldn't get her mouth open or closed, you know, and get her to come to the boat. I mean, it's a nice fish, but good spotted bass, but not necessarily. I think you justified that fight. 2-pounder. Long, skinny spot anyway. Send him back down there with his buddies. They can talk about the meanest trout he's ever met in his life. Gone. Yes, because so many times an angler gets caught up like we did. You know, we stopped for a minute, picked the drop shot rod up, and bang, 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 we caught 3 or 4 little fish. And so many times a fisherman will think, well, that's what I need to be doing. When, you know, we've had some of our best bites. We didn't get on the water till 10 o'clock today, and some of our best bites on the top water bait came, you know, from 10 to 2 o'clock. And that's usually a time when a lot of anglers are not fishing topwater because they've abandoned it already. And if you're going to throw it, especially this time of year, pick it up and throw it all day long. And you know, you may not get as many bites, and you're going to hit some dry spells where you don't catch a lot of fish, but you're also going to roll up on those areas. And some of these areas we fished we fished earlier is where I've now come back to, and hopefully we'll catch another one off of it. This bridge we're coming up on is the old Salmon Falls Bridge. It was actually the old highway bridge that went across the South Fork of the American River. It's a one-lane concrete bridge. A lot of the fishermen have probably fished that bridge and know what it looks like on a depth finder, but water's got to be pretty low in the lake for that bridge to come out. And you can sure see why, with the concrete pilings and the shade and everything on that bridge, why there's always a lot of fish that live on it. You know, when there's 15, 20, 30 foot of water over the top of it, it's a heck of a fish holding spot. We're going to fish up to the bridge, and then we're going to go underneath it and continue up through the headwaters of the river. There's a lot of current already coming down underneath that bridge. We're going to try to fish up to it and see if we can't catch a fish out of the shade on a topwater bait around it. Don't want to miss this, huh, Tony? This is the closest thing we have to the I-5 bridge at Folsom. Something. Bass or squawfish or something. Trout. The neat part about fishing up these rivers, you really never know what the hell you're going to catch. That's a big bass. The current's so fast, it's blowing us backwards, Tony. Nice spot. Nice spot. Look at that, right in the current. You got him? That was a good way to end things. You know what? Sometimes these spotted bass think they're half trout. The current's flowing so fast up here, it's blowing us backwards down the river. That fish is up here above the water temperature break, probably 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile. He's all the way up here in the current on the end of the river. That's a nice spot. Buzzbait fish, buddy. Look at him with him. Look at him with him. Look at that one with him. You see the size of that spot with him? Oh my God. It was a giant spot with him. He was bigger than that one. Buzzbaits are just not for the Delta anymore. Nice little spot. Real nice little spot. Another good one. Solid 2-pounder, a little better. That's a big one. It's a smallie too. It's a smallie. It's a brown one. It's a big smallie. The big smallie. Man, she ate that revenge buzzbait at my feet. Oh, Lee, that's a nice smallmouth. Boy, that's a beautiful smallmouth. Whew, gotta love that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we enjoyed a little bit of topwater fishing with us today. We've had a good time, caught all these fish in the middle of the day, caught them on the new Reaction Innovations Vixen. And I'm Kent Brown. Thanks for joining us with westernbass.com's TV. We're going to have 3 more series here in Folsom. Look for a tape fishing in the dead of winter, one in the spring, and maybe a little bit of fishing in the fall. We're going to have a good time. But thanks for joining us with westernbass.com.